Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Sports Stuff video. Today, we're doing the final mock draft before the NFL Combine happens. So this is all before the Combine. Obviously, things are going to change once the Combine happens. But I want to get this video up just so after the Combine, we can do another mock draft and really see where guys land differently. This is some projection of how I think the Combine is going to go. But yeah, if you guys enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into this video of doing the final mock draft. Again, before the NFL draft combine gets underway this Thursday. Let's do it. So at number one, the Tennessee Titans land the number one overall pick after having a disastrous season. There's a lot of smoke that they're willing to trade out of this spot. There's a lot of smoke. But I think there's also even more smoke that they're willing to take the best player overall and not really worry about quarterback, right? There's a lot of quarterbacks on the market, whether it's Sam Darnold, who I think would actually be a really good scheme fit, whether it is Kirk Cousins, who might get cut, Matt Stafford available in a trade, Aaron Rodgers, a free agent, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, a free agent. I think there's a chance that the Tennessee Titans do draft a quarterback number one and say, you know what, we're just going to go the young option. I'm not going to be doing that today, though. I think Abdul Carter does end up going number one overall. He was, in my opinion, the best player in this draft class this past year. True dominant edge. I think he's a generational type of edge where he used his speed rushing ability to get to the quarterback while also being very strong. And on one arm, he almost gave Ohio State a run for their money. Notre Dame, not Ohio State. Notre Dame a run for their money on one arm in the playoffs. So Abdul Carter at number one, I think makes a lot of sense. And I'm willing to put money that Abdul Carter either goes at number one or at number two. I don't think he's something past Cleveland, but the Tennessee Titans do take him. I would not be shocked if they punt on a quarterback and just do a retread of another quarterback in free agency, and maybe even through trade, right? Maybe they trade for Joe Milton, and Joe Milton's their quarterback. I just don't see the Tennessee Titans going a young quarterback this year. All the smoke is pointing towards them drafting Abdul Carter, and maybe that's why a lot of the GM interviews that were more experienced guys, they didn't want to sign him. They went with a more inexperienced assistant GM. And he got the job. So maybe it was because, hey, I want the generational players, best player available at all times. And Abdul Carter, I would go at number one. And the owners agreed with that. So Abdul Carter is going to go at number one. Me and the Cleveland Browns are on the clock for a quarterback. But we'll be doing a trade. I am not going to be doing a quarterback pick for the Browns. I'm going to be doing a swap with the Raiders. I do think the Raiders need to do, no matter what, get a quarterback. And I think this is the kind of trade that I would go for. 2 firsts, a second, a future third, and a 5th round pick this year. So the Raiders, they're not really punting too much on their future. Let's just say the Raiders do this trade and they grab whatever quarterback you want to say they grab it to, and they win one game. Yes, that 1st round pick in the future is very valuable, but that 2nd round pick, the reason I'm not touching it is because that would then be number 33 overall, basically another 1st round pick. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing the time of trade. In the past, you guys have seen, I've added in Michael Mayer, but I'm gonna keep Michael Mayer, keep him on the Raiders roster. So 2 firsts this year, number 37, this year, number 143, and a future 3rd for number 2. I'm gonna force that trade through. I think that is very fair comp for moving up from number 6 to number 2, especially over another team that would take a quarterback. So at quarterback, I'm gonna grab Cam Ward for the Raiders. I think Cam Ward, what Pete Carroll likes to do, Cam Ward is a better fit. As much as I love Shedeur Sanders with that Pete Carroll offense, I think Cam Ward is a better idea of what they want. And that I think he's more of a Geno Smith type, right? Sit in the pocket. If he has to extend plays, he will, but he's more of an accurate passer. Then obviously Shedeur Sanders is gonna be my pick at number 3. Very big arm. I love his deep ball accuracy. Obviously holds the record now for most accurate quarterback in college football history. So yeah, very, very competent quarterback when it comes to passing. I think Brian Daboll would bet his entire job on Shedeur Sanders. And I think Shedeur is worthy of being a top 3 pick. There's a lot of mock drafts having him go towards, the bottom of the top 10, top of the top 15. But for me, I think he's going to be a top 3 pick. Shedeur Sanders going at 3. Then at number 4, the New England Patriots. Yes, it's very enticing. Maybe Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan, grab a wide receiver for Drake May, Mason Graham, a franchise changer on the defensive tackle. But I'm going to grab Will Campbell, a very good starting left tackle that I do see a future as a potential Pro Bowler. Started the left side of the ball his entire career. I think Will Campbell is legit. And if he can get good measurables, honestly, I'm excited to see during the draft, during the combine, what his arms officially measure in at, and see past examples of if those guys have succeeded. But Will Campbell, very tall, good frame, good player, and at worst he plays guard. But you've already have multiple oversized guards. I'd rather see him play left tackle for the Patriots of the future. Then Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm gonna be grabbing Travis Hunter. You let, in some people's opinion, the number one player in this draft fall to you at number 5, who's gonna play corner for me, right? He is going into the combine playing corner, so that's what I'm gonna be drafting him as, and then giving him 15 to 20 plays a game at wide receiver. So instead of playing 60 snaps a game at wide receiver at corner, I'm giving him 35 snaps at corner and 15 to 20 at wide receiver. So you give him a little bit of a break, and you get him for you get the dual threat ability of Travis Hunter at number 5. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohn, that very young staff he's put together in the coaching staff, I do think that's something that they would do and be ingenuitive. Like he hired he hired the Vikings assistant quarterbacks coach because he's a very big, good football mind for the future. And I think this is the type of thing that they would do, right? Is be innovative, have a corner and wide receiver, kind of like what they did with the 90s, but now bring it back to 2020s. Then the Cleveland Browns, finally at number 6. I told over this what they're going to do, right? Obviously, Ted McMillan's right there, Luther Burden, Johnny Barron, Tyler Warren. But it's between Mason Graham and Ashton Jeanty, right? Ashton Jeanty, I'm in love with Ashton Jeanty. I don't think, give me this pick 9 out of 10 times a day. However, 1 out of 10 times, I'm going to be grabbing Mason Graham, right? Mason Graham and Ashton Jeanty are 1A of their respective positions. But what Mason Graham is at D tackle is completely different what the Ashton Jeanty is at running back, right? When it comes to running back, you have Omarion Hampton, Cam Scatterbo, Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens, Jadon Blue even. He's been recently on my board. Where is he? Trevor Etienne, Jordan James, Taj Brooks, Ollie Gordon. There's a lot of running backs in this class that I think in this system can be very successful. There's not many D tackles I think could become number 1 guys next to the guys you already have, right? I imagine a future of Mike Hall and Mason Graham eating at the D tackle position. As much as I love Ashton Jeanty, there's just other positions that need more time, love, and care. And I think D tackle is one of those. Get a true number 1 D tackle and a guy that I think could be an all-pro in the future. Again, I think Ashton Jeanty could also be an all-pro in the future. But I think Mason Graham at D tackle is more important for this team. Then at number 7 with the Jets, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm grabbing Tyler Warren at number 7. I don't know if this is the pick I would go for. I think the Jets maybe would want to trade down and try and get some value. But I just didn't see a trade partner, right? Tet, Luther, Ashton, I just didn't see anyone trading up. I do think there is someone that could trade up before the Bears, but not to number 7. I think that's where the Saints would come in handy, and they would trade down and the team would trade up. But the Jets at number 7, there's a lot of smoke that Tyler Warren is their number 1 pick. There's a lot of beat reporters for the Jets reporting on Twitter and their own websites, so that's where the fire is going from, and they're giving the smoke off. So Tyler Warren, I'm going to go to the Jets. Good player, really good blocker, really good receiver, 6'6", 261. Watching him in the playoffs was so much fun. So him at number 7, not awful. I'm just, I don't know. I think there's other guys that better fit their need. Then for the Panthers, I'm going to go Mike Green. Another guy that I have not watched much film on. I want to be honest with you. I have not watched much film on Mike Green, but every single person that I respect in the NFL draft analysis world says Mike Green is legit, right? They say no matter the competition that you play, as long as you shine, then you're worth the pick, right? So honestly, edge rusher, had 17 sacks last year, 32 hurries. That is a great percentage. That's what half of his hurries turn into sacks. That is a very good percentage. And as you can see, he did not go off the field for run snaps. So that's very good that he wasn't just a situational pass rusher. He was also being used as a run stopper. So at number 8, the Panthers needed a star pass rusher, and they get that in Mike Green at number 8. Then, as I said earlier, I do see a trade happening at number 9, and I think it would be with the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys make whatever draft package you would want, maybe 12, 149, 171, and a future 4th, maybe something like that. So it's not massive capital. But at 149, that's a 5th, a 6th, and a future 4th to move up 3 spots. Boom. They're going to grab Ashton Jeanty, right? I think what Schottenheimer really needs in this draft is a star running back. This run game is god-awful. Schottenheimer's always had a really bad run game, But if you have Ashton Jeanty back there, you're handing the ball off 15 to 25 times a game, every single game. Alleviate the pressure on Dak Prescott's shoulders to where he doesn't have to throw 40 to 50 times a game and get injured. Because every year, he throws 50 times a game and he gets injured. Alleviate that pressure. You have a solid offensive line. Ashton Jeanty in Dallas makes a lot of sense. I can already see the star in his head. And you get him at number 9. You only need to trade a couple of day 3 picks to move up 3 spots. And the Saints now have more capital for their team. That's a win-win in my opinion. And the Cowboys can then run with Ashton Jeanty. That'd be a really good offense. Really good offense. Because again, that is a struggle for their team is the run game. Ashton Jeanty runs solves that day 1. Then at number 10, the Chicago Bears. They would probably grab Ashton Jeanty. That's something that they would really want. I think that's something that Ben Johnson really wants at first team is to improve the run game. But one way to improve the run game is to grab great offensive linemen. So Kelvin Banks is going to be my pick at number 10. I'm going to move him to guard at 6'4", was at 320. Yeah, he's only 20 years old. I'm going to move him to left guard, and I'm going to be very happy with that, right? This guy's a great run blocker, good pass blocker. Grab him at number 10, move him to guard, and now you're, you have Darnell Wright, Kelvin Banks at left tackle, left guard. That is a great athletic duo for that spot in the offensive line. Plus, the Bears, I do think they're going to sign Trey Smith, so that solves your right guard issue. Like, I think this offensive line is going to be completely different next year. So invest in the offensive line, and you'll see dividends in your run game and your pass game. So instead of grabbing Ashton Jeanty to solve your pass game, you grab Kelvin Banks to solve your run game and get your pass game. Then at number 11, I do see a little bit of a run at offensive line. I think this is where Josh Simmons could go. Josh Simmons, a very athletic tackle for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I could see him being a Trent Williams replacement eventually. You know, maybe year 1, he starts at right tackle like he did his freshman season. And then move over to left tackle once Trent Williams is done. But this gives you a guy to develop over the next couple of years and really lean in and develop him and say, hey, this is our franchise tackle of the future. Right now, he's a start at right tackle because Connor McKivitz, I believe, is a free agent. Or at worst, you move Connor McKivitz back in the guard, and you have Josh Simmons, Connor McKivitz, and Trent Williams as your 3 starters, and you figure out your other 2. That's something I really like. I think the 49ers would really be into is grabbing a eventual Trent Williams replacements. Then number 12, they traded down from number 9 with the Dallas Cowboys. The Saints, I'm going to grab Emeka Egbuka, right? You already have great outside threats. You have Rashid Shaheed. You have Chris Olave. They'll probably re-sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think what this offense really needs, what Kellen Moore, the new head coach, needs, is a great route-running slot guy. And that is Emeka Egbuka. Run that power slot, kind of like what Devontae Smith did last year, but bigger. He's 6'1", 205, plays very big. As you can see, he was top 25 in both screen and slot yards. Great contested catch guy. Again, he plays very big, so he's going to play that power slot role that Devontae Smith played, but be even bigger than Devontae Smith. Physically bigger, and I believe he's taller and has more poundage, but he has more muscle than Devontae Smith. So, yeah, I think that's a great fit for what Kellen Moore wants to do. You now have your A.J. Brown and Chris Olave, and you have Emeka Egbuka as your Devontae Smith. Then at number 13, the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to grab an offensive lineman in Armand Membo. Again, another guy from Missouri. I do see him playing guard in the NFL. 6'3", 314, shorter arms. Whatever side of the ball you want him to run. He's a great pass blocker, solid run blocker. I do think he's a better pass blocker than run blocker, though. But for the Miami Dolphins, offensive line has to be key. Keep Tua up. Keep Tua healthy so he can deliver strikes with the football. Defensively, all they really need is to get healthy and stay healthy. But on offense, they just need to improve the offensive line play so Devon Achane can get better lanes. Tua can stop getting sacked so much and have time to deliver the ball to the wide receivers. Then at number 14, I'm going to grab with the Indianapolis Colts, Jahdae Barron from Texas. It's been a long time since they've had a great outside corner, but Jahdae, 5'11", 200 pounds. Last year had 5 interceptions and allowed 0 touchdowns. This is a true ball-hawking, lockdown corner. I love Jahdae Barron. He throws his body around in the run game. He hasn't been a top 15 pick for me for a while, but in the last week or two, I really thought Jahdae Barron could go a little higher than what I was thinking. And now PFF and NFL mock draft base, NFL draft mock base, they're also saying Jahdae Barron's a top 20 pick. So 14 at the Colts, I don't think it's horrible because I don't think there's any other team in the top 20 that would grab a corner in this draft right now. Then at number 15, the Atlanta Falcons. I think they need to improve their defensive line. I'm going to grab Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Walter Nolan, great run stopper, solid pass rusher, is developing, but he had 25 hurries last year. That's great at the D tackle position. But mainly, I want him as a run defender. This defense overall has been really piss poor. I believe Jimmy Lake got fired, actually. Jimmy Lake fired. Yeah, about to say, they fired Jimmy Lake, their defensive coordinator. So, like, the run game and the pass rush got the defensive coordinator fired. So if I'm the next defensive coordinator, I'm saying I want you guys to invest money in draft capital into the defensive line. You drafted Ruke last year, who's also D tackle. Draft Walter Nolan, finish off the interior of the defensive line, and let free agency be where you get your edge rushers, right? You have guys like Josh Sweat that's available. Khalil Mack, if you want more of a veteran. There's a lot of solid pass rushers out there in free agency. But in D tackle, there's not as many. It's very thin, the top of the guys in D tackle in free agency. So grab Walter Nolan. You have Ruke, have the best run-stopping rookie contract D tackles. And then as they develop the pass rushing, you have great edge rushers next to them. Then at number 16, the Arizona Cardinals. I think I'll go back-to-back. Grab Kenneth Grant. Finish off their defensive line as well. Last year, they drafted Demarius Robinson, I believe his name was. I forgot what school he went to, but he was a defensive lineman. Didn't really play much this last year. Kenneth Grant could be your D tackle. Again, another great run defender, solid pass rusher, 23 hurries. But for me, I want Kenneth Grant to run the defense through the run defense, right? We know that Jonathan Gannon was a former defensive coordinator, now head coach. Hasn't really worked out in Arizona. You know, has had a piss poor defense the last few years. But they've invested a lot of draft capital in their linebackers and secondary. Let's invest a high pick in a run-stopping D tackle to truly stop the run, right? Let's solve the number one issue this team has is run defense, and let's solve it, right? We've invested so much draft capital and money in our secondary. Let's now start investing in our run defense. Then number 17, the Cincinnati Bengals. I am going to reach and I am going to grab, wrong person. I'm going to go on another run of Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon, as you can see, I think there's been multiple runs, right? 3 out of 4 picks were a tackle. Now 3 picks in a row with defensive linemen. I think Derek Harmon, day one starts for them. They just cut Sheldon Rankins. They're going to let BJ Hill walk because of money. Grab Derek Harmon because you're going to have to reinvest money in Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So I think the defensive line is where the number one area that you need to invest draft capital in. Grab Derek Harmon, let him start day one. Let him develop as he plays. This is a very, very, very good pass rushing D tackle. 43 hurries, 5 sacks, and he's still a good run stopper. So he can play everything for you. He can never leave the field. He's 6'5", 310, wide frame. I like Derek Harmon's game from Oregon. Then at number 18, I think this is where the slip falls of James Pierce. I think James Pierce does end up going here at number 18. You know, there's a lot of rumors that there's off-the-field issues with James Pierce. I think the Seattle Seahawks are a unique team to take that in and handle it, right? And also, I think their head coach, Mike Macdonald, it will be one of the best head coaches to take a troubled James Pierce and turn him into a star. He has all the foundation blocks to be an elite pass rusher. Obviously, fell off the draft board this year, didn't have a really good year. But 43 hurries, you know, that motor was still churning, but they just didn't turn the sacks, they didn't turn the TFLs, they didn't turn in the wins. But he's 6'5", 243, ideal size for an edge rusher. I really think the Seattle Seahawks, they need an edge rusher, and they need a number one edge rusher. I think Mike Macdonald would love to take the opportunity to take a shot on James Pierce, knowing his job is pretty safe. Like, we know Mike Macdonald's not getting fired, so I think he can take the shot on James Pierce and not worry about it. At number 19, I'm going to have another trade. I do think the trade is very possible right here. At 19, we're going to go with the Steelers, and the Steelers are going to trade up. Let's just say they give up 121 and 246, right? You give up a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick. The Steelers, they need another wide receiver. I'm going to grab Ted McMillan. This is where the slide stops with Ted McMillan in a trade down. He's 6'5", 212. Whether it's Justin Fields or it's Russell Wilson, I think they both love their big body wide receiver. Ted, 2 years in a row, 1,300 yards, 15 yards of reception, 18 touchdowns. Not great at getting separation, but as a big body, he's not really a jump ball guy. This Ted McMillan, I think he's really good. I think he's a really good route runner, very crisp route runner. Again, doesn't really get separation with speed. It's more with his route running. He creates, an inch or two separation, and his big body frame can catch whatever ball's thrown at him. But number 19, going to a really good organization in the Steelers. They need another wide receiver. Now it's him and George Pickens. That is a very good big duo at wide receiver for whatever quarterback they have. Then the Denver Broncos, mad because they would have taken Ted McMillan in a heartbeat at number 19. They pivot, and I think this is where Darius Alexander goes. Darius Alexander, they definitely need a nose tackle. I think Darius Alexander can play his nose tackle. If he didn't already play nose tackle, I believe, at Toledo, actually. I can't remember. Again, I do these every day, so I'm trying to remember everything. But if Darius Alexander didn't play nose tackle, I think he has the frame to play nose tackle in the NFL. And the Denver Broncos, that's the last piece of their front seven that they really need, is that nose tackle. And Darius Alexander gives them a true presence, really good run stopper. Next to the guy that they have on their team already, Darius Alexander would flourish as a run stopper. Plus, again, develop as a pass rusher, but if he's just a really good run stopper, that's not a bad thing at all. Next, we have, where did I lost my spot? Look, at number 21, I'm going to grab Will Johnson for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For the Buccaneers, they've had a lot of issues in the secondary, right? Guys either getting injured, they're trading them, they're cutting them, letting them walk. Zion McCollum is finally playing. He played really well last year. But grab Will Johnson, take a shot at a guy who missed a lot of games this year due to injury. But when he is healthy, he is locked down. As you can see last year, 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. This year, in his 6 games, didn't allow a touchdown, and he already had 2 picks. He was on his way to repeating what he had in 2023. So he would have been a top 15, top 10 pick for me. But because of the injury, other guys just kind of grew on me. So Will Johnson at number 21. I think it's great value, 6'2", 202. Another guy, honestly, Benjamin Morrison. Because of his injury, he's kind of slipped out of my board as well. I don't know if he's really a first-round pick anymore. Because other guys, in the secondary especially, Trey Amos, Javon Revel, who also missed a lot of this year, Darian Porter, Azare Thomas, like those are guys that I think could be first-round picks over Benjamin Morrison, just because they played more. But Will Johnson, I do see a role for him day one, but if they want to ease him back into playing, they can as well, because they don't need him to start day one. Then for the Los Angeles Chargers, in my opinion, the number one need is running back. Grab Omarion Hampton, solve your run game issue, and you're good. Like, you're 100% happy with that. 3,000 yards rushing the last 2 years with 30 touchdowns. At UNC, he has been dominant, really good. 73 missed tackles forced. He can run either gap or zone. 1,200 yards at the contact. That's second in college football. He is a true dominant running back, and I think if Ashton Jeanty wasn't here, he would be getting drafted in the top 10. But because Ashton Jeanty is just so good, it makes it like the gap from him to Omarion Hampton slightly larger than it should be. But I think Omarion Hampton definitely is a day one starter, potential Pro Bowler. I think he'll easily be a 1,000-yard rusher year one, especially in this system with this good offensive line. The Chargers desperately need that. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they worked last year, but Omarion Hampton is a difference maker, true workhorse running back. Then at number 23, I'm going to have Mykel Williams from Georgia. The Packers, they have a lot of power rushers. Mykel Williams is more of a speed rusher, right? Really good run stopper, really good with his speed as well. Definitely needs to develop more as a pass rusher, but if day one Mykel Williams can just set the edge for you, you will live with that. You will live with that. Let him develop as a pass rusher, but let him stop the run and play opposite of all these power rushers. A different skill set, different moves, and I really like that pick. It's one of my favorite picks in this draft is Mykel Williams to the Green Bay Packers because he does something that they don't have right now, and that's really exciting. Then at number 24, I'm going to do another trade with the Washington Commanders of 29, 147, and a future 4th to move up 5 picks. Where this is where I think another run on tackle is going to happen, right? So the Vikings, they don't have many draft picks this year, so I think they're one of the only teams that would trade back for anything. They have not many holes. It's just a lot of guys that are free agents, so they don't have that many holes. They can re-sign a lot of their guys. So the Vikings trade back, get more draft capital, and the Commanders, they trade up and they grab Gray Zabel. Gray Zabel, again, I've been really high on Gray Zabel. He's a dominant pass rusher. He's 6'6", 305. This is one of the dudes that I've been saying is going to be a first-round pick, and he's finally getting the hype of being a true number 1 left tackle. This dude could be a franchise-changing tackle at the end of the first round. Really good run stop, a really good run blocker as well. He gets to the second level very effectively, but as a pass blocker is where he excels. He stops every bull rush. He throws guys off of their lanes as well. I love Gray Zabel. Him and Jaden Daniels would love each other because of how athletic Gray is, right? He can stop guys in their tracks and move them around, so Jaden Daniels, when he's scrambling, has a blocker he can run behind. Then number 25, I think it's going to be another run on, again, I think it's a run on tackle. I'm going to grab Josh Connolly from Oregon. Another tackle I really like is 6'4", 315. Some guys say he can play guard in the NFL. I think he can play tackle, right? I think he's definitely powerful enough. and athletic enough to play tackle. So moving him to left tackle, you obviously have Laremy Tunsil. So maybe you have Josh Connolly at right tackle, and Blake Fisher moves in the guard, kind of like how Titus Howard did. And you have Garrett Patterson / Juice Scruggs playing center. That's a starting five I can get behind. I really believe in that starting five. And if Josh Connolly does play guard, he plays right guard for you. And no matter what, your five you really believe in. Then with the Rams, I think yet again another guy is Arante Ursare. I love Ursare from Minnesota. He is one of my guys as well, 6'6", 360. A little bit older of a player. I believe he's 23 years old, if I'm not mistaken. But another dude I think could be a franchise tackle for you. With the Rams, you have Alaric Jackson and Joseph Noteboom that are free agents. I do see them re-signing one of them, but Arante Ursare could be the franchise opposite of whoever they re-sign. If they re-sign Alaric Jackson, which is what I would do, is re-sign the younger guy on a longer-term deal. Arante Ursare, Alaric Jackson, that's a really good, powerful 1-2 punch at tackle. Very tall as well, a very tall tackle duo. But Arante Ursare to the Rams, again, solve the run game. You obviously have Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, who you believe in. Both tackles are really good run stoppers. And in the pass blocking game, I really think Arante Ursare can dominate. Then number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. They've got Jahad Campbell. This is a Patrick Queen replacement. This dude is a bullet, right? Like I've been saying, JOK is Jahad Campbell, and Jahad Campbell is JOK. Very good run defender, good in coverage, but is a missile in the run defense, right? He shoots gaps and gets a lot of tackle for losses. This is one of my favorite linebackers in this class. And again, another dude that I've been saying is going to be a first-round pick is finally getting first-round pick hype. Number one, 30 coverage stops in the, college football. Number one, and he's a dominant run stopper. I love Jahad Campbell. If the Browns can somehow steal him at number 33, I would die. Like if he slips out of the first round, the Browns are not letting him go past number 33. Then number 28, the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna grab Shamar Stewart. I did have a battle in my head. Do I grab Shamar Stewart or Nick Scourton? Shamar Stewart, he's 6'6", 290. He plays a little. He's a little more fluid in where he can play. He's used to playing in a system, not being the dominant star, and he still has 33 pressures, right? So 33 pressures on what? Barely, like your sixth man off the bench, basically. Like he's, the starting snaps is around 600. That's 800 in college football. He's at 521. So he's a sixth man off the bench, right? He is the number one option to sub in when guys need to rest. And he had 33 hurries. Imagine what he can do with this defensive line and getting true starting number one minutes. I like Shamar Stewart, very wide body, good run stopper. And again, I think in real minutes that those pressures can really turn into sacks. Then at number 29, the Vikings, they trade back, they get the guy that they wanted. I'm now going to say, you know what? Let's grab Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is everyone's current number one pick for steal at running back. There is not a single team in the NFL that does not want Caleb Johnson. And I think the Vikings are going to say, you know what? We have our wide receivers. We have our tight end. We have our offensive line. We either have Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Let's solve our running back issue. Grab Caleb Johnson, who will dominate in this KOC offense. As you can see, tied for 6 in zone attempts, 1,000 yards after contact, 28 yards of 15 plus yards, 28 carries of 15 plus yards, was third in college football. Caleb Johnson is amazing. He's a very patient runner. Like I want to see him and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and play so bad. Like this would be a dominant offense with Caleb Johnson. Imagine adding a Saquon Barkley is what Caleb Johnson could be. Like that explosive of a runner to the Vikings offense. Dominance. True dominance. Then at number 30, I'm going to grab Malachi Starks from Georgia. Cap off his elite defense. Currently, DeMar Hamlin is a free agent. I do see them re-signing him. I don't think he's going to hit free agency. But Malachi Starks is a better player than DeMar Hamlin. He is. He's a better player. 6'1", 205, truly elite deep free safety. He had 62 tackles this last year. He doesn't let much get past him. I like Malachi Starks. I don't see him going any higher. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see where he goes in the first round outside of Buffalo or Kansas City. I think those are the two teams that would want him. So Buffalo is going to grab Malachi Starks. Then number 31, I'm going to do a controversial pick. I'm grabbing Colson Loveland. Travis Kelce has officially said he's coming back to the team next year. But if I'm Kansas City, I see how important tight end is for this system, right? For Andy Reid, for Patrick Mahomes, I see how important Travis Kelce is. Let's start grabbing a Travis Kelce replacement in Colston Loveland. He is 6'5", 245, great receiving tight end, and a willing blocker. Perfect. That is Travis Kelce. Did deal with injuries a little bit this year, but overall, I think he's a really great player. And again, him and Travis Kelce for at minimum 2025 season, he's going to learn a lot from Travis Kelce, really get used to Patrick Mahomes. And if Travis Kelce even stays another year, you have him and Colston Loveland, and I think that's a really great pairing. Then number 32, I am going to grab Nick Scourton. I think this is the last true first-round edge. I love Princely Umanmielen. I love Donovan Ezeraku. I'm awful at these names, man. But Luther Burden, I don't think he's a first-round pick. A lot of guys are agreeing with me right now. I do see him as like a Cortland Sutton is my comp for him. And I just don't really think that's a first-round pick anymore, especially with the teams that what their needs are. Jalen Walker, I never thought was a first-round pick. Matthew Golden, I thought could be a first-round pick, but I think I'm gonna have him slip out of the first as well. T. Higgins slipped out of the first round. Great players can slip out of the first round, and you can say years later, why would they slip out? But I think that's going to be one of the guys to slip out. Elick Anyamaner slips out. Demetrius Knight from South Carolina slips out. Tyleik Williams, TJ Saunders, Jack Bett, Xavier Watts. But I'm going to grab Nick Scourton. I think you need to replace Josh Sweat's developments and his position. He's 6'4", 285. That's nearly exactly what Josh Sweat is. Outside tackle pass rusher, 28 hurries. In same thing, not true starting minutes. For some reason, him and Shamar Stewart really didn't play all that much compared to last year where they both played 700 snaps. But Nick Scourton coming at defensive lineman, replacing Josh Sweat day one. That's exactly what I want. And boom, that is my pre-NFL Combine final. Oh my God, that is my final pre-NFL Combine mock draft. Yeah, I think it's really good. I like this a lot. Abdul Carter goes at 1. Browns trade out at number 2. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders go back to back. Browns after the trade back grab Mason Graham. Dallas Cowboys trade up for Ashton Jeanty. The Saints in that trade back grab Emeka Egbuka. The Patriots, not Patriots. The Steelers trade up for Ted McMillan to get the Broncos, not to get Ted McMillan. And then the Buccaneers in that trade back, they still get Will Johnson to be a potential cornerback number 1. Amarion Hampton goes at 22. Washington trades up for Gray Zabel. Then the Texans grab Josh Connerly, and the Rams go Aronte Ursaray. So multiple runs, right? Again, right here, we have 3 or 4 picks as tackle. We have 3 defensive tackles in a row, and then another 3 run at tackle. Because, again, the top of this offensive line and defensive line class are elite, and it's a really solid middle. But if you want to grab an elite guy in the first round, this is what you want to do. So let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.